Chrisley Knows best star Savannah Chrisley has worked tirelessly since 2022 to free her parents from prison. The couple was imprisoned in 2022 after being indicted by a federal grand jury for tax evasion and other financial crimes. They received a pardon from President Donald Trump in early 2025. They have been attempting to reintegrate into society and their family since. Savannah, who fought so hard to free her parents, recently admitted she has struggled since they came home. Keep reading to find out more. In 2022, Todd and Julie Chrisley, stars of Chrisley Knows Best, have been in prison since 2022 when they were indicted for tax evasion. Todd and Julie's daughter, Savannah, fought to free her parents from prison. She launched social media campaigns, lobbied lawmakers, and even the president. In early 2025, Savannah's efforts to free her parents paid off when her parents were issued a presidential pardon by President Donald Trump. The Chrisley family has had many emotional and mental health struggles during the time of Todd and Julie's incarceration. In addition to fighting for her parents' freedom, Savannah was responsible for raising her two youngest siblings. At the time of their parents' arrest, Chloe and Grayson were minors, so Savannah became their legal guardian. She was responsible for managing the legal issues of her parents' absence, supporting her younger siblings, and carrying a heavy emotional burden. Savannah Chrisley uses her podcast, Unlocked, to fight for her parents and share her journey of their imprisonment. She admitted that she often felt overwhelmed and alone. On her podcast, Chrisley revealed that she had no opportunity to rest or heal while her parents were gone. Savannah expressed that she had to constantly push forward without breaking down. Her responsibilities weighed heavily on her emotionally. In a new episode of Unlocked, Savannah Chrisley sat down with her parents and opened up about how she was feeling now that they are home. Savannah told her parents that she feels that there is a strange distance between her and them. She expressed her love for her parents but said that something felt off since their return home. Savannah Chrisley shared that her mother, Julie, is showing signs of trauma since her release from prison. She said, however, that her father, Todd, was hiding his feelings about his experience. Chrisley explained that she felt disconnected from Todd and Julie. Todd expressed concerns that everyone had had a chance to rest except for Savannah, and he felt that was why she was still carrying such a heavy emotional burden. Todd Chrisley expressed that it has been hard to reintegrate as a family, and he understands his daughter's struggles. To keep up with the Chrisley family, check out Unlocked on YouTube, and keep an eye out for more Chrisley Knows Best updates from TV shows Ace. In the soft hush of early morning, Savannah awakened to a new reality. The air in the house was thick with a strange, unfamiliar tension, one she hadn't anticipated. The walls, once echoing with laughter and warmth, now stood as silent witnesses to an unseen chasm. Her parents have finally come home, pardoned after years of waiting and campaigning. Months of relentless fighting, emotional, legal, spiritual, had culminated in this moment. Yet instead of the longed-for reunion she had dreamed about, she found herself staring at two people she loved more than anything, yet feeling profoundly disconnected. The invisible wall life had revolved around them, their routines, their presence, their voices guiding every moment. Her parents' incarceration had forced her into roles she had never asked for: guardian, spokesperson, the family's steadfast anchor. She had filled their absence with purpose, channeling every ounce of strength into maintaining normalcy for her younger siblings while keeping hope alive for her parents' return. But now, with them physically present, the emotional landscape shifted. It wasn't resentment or regret holding her back. It was the trauma of years alone, layered with guilt and expectation, creating a wall she couldn't easily breach. Every once familiar glance or gesture carried the weight of years split apart. She had built a self-sufficient life, grinding through school, work, motherhood for her niece and younger brother, and the relentless pursuit of justice for her parents. That transformation made the act of readjusting to their return feel almost disorienting. Unseen shifts in the quiet hallways and kitchen corners, she noticed subtle changes she hadn't expected. Her mother's reactions, sharp, careful, sometimes muted, hinted at unseen scars that lay beneath. The prison system, she reflected, breaks people in mere days, and the evidence was etched in her mother's expressions, quiet tremors of PTSD unspoken in her eyes. At first, Savannah wasn't sure if it was relief or overwhelm that made. She had urged, pushed, nearly begged for their return. But once home, a strange emptiness settled in. Like holding onto sand. Once given, it slips away. It was this paradox of longing the return, and yet now feeling distant, that lay at the root of her internal struggle. Rediscovering identity, her daily rituals, coffee ritual at dawn, checking homework with Grayson, bedtime stories with Chloe, were no longer disrupted by solitary routines. But these small joys now carried shades of tension. There was a softness that used to come easily, replaced by a quiet vigilance. She wondered, was she building a new life to protect herself if they left again? Was this pause a subconscious defense against future heartbreak? In the small hours before anyone else woke, Savannah reflected on her identity. For so long, she had been Todd and Julie's daughter on a mission. She had been the protector, the spokesperson, the voice of hope. Now, she realized that role had to evolve. In creating distance, she might be trying to protect her own heart. Seeking healing, she had set boundaries before their release. Therapeutic processes, space for healing, a mutual understanding that nothing would be the same without processing what had happened. Each of those boundaries now felt essential. Her mind drifted to the therapy plans she had voiced. The need for an intensive, honest reckoning to truly heal and reconnect. But desire doesn't equate to readiness. She found herself walking the fine line between love and self-preservation. The family she had known was transformed, and she too had been transformed by necessity. She didn't just want them home. She needed them to return as people capable of relating to the woman she had become, not the little girl they'd known. A fractured homecoming, the house felt both full and hollow. Laughter echoed in one room, while another held memories of silent dinners solo, when she would whisper into the void, "I need you." Now those quiet dinners were filled with them, but she realized that presence isn't intimacy. She reflected on the parallel timelines that ran inside her, one marked by the incarceration and daily survival, the other starting anew now that the trial had ended. It wasn't resentment toward her parents. It was grief for lost time, stolen moments. The grief of someone who had grown up in the absence of her anchors. Steps toward connection gradually, she looked for bridges to cross that distance. A shared glance over coffee. A tentative walk together in the yard. A pause before greeting, a warm hug that felt both familiar and foreign all at once. These moments didn't erase the chasm, but they built a fragile new thread of reconnection. She found solace in small rituals, planning candy store visits for the younger siblings, plotting therapy days, hinting at dreams she had to pause, like the potential law school pivot she might pursue if her parents returned. Every gesture, no matter how small, was a brick in the slow construction of new familiarity. She let herself hope, not too much, but enough to try again, enough to rebuild, inch by inch. Living with the tension, Savannah knew that healing wouldn't be linear. Some days, the distance shrank, replaced by nostalgia for what felt lost. Other days, walls rose again, brittle and sharp, reminding her of all she'd been through. Still, she carried on, with love and caution. Because love doesn't always look like fireworks. Sometimes it is quiet steps toward each other in the dark. Sometimes it is the understanding that closeness can be hard-won, and that healing begins when truth is acknowledged. Even if unspoken. For Savannah, that truth was this. She did feel disconnected. She did long for who they used to be, and yet, she did not blame them. She blamed the system, the loss, the trauma. But mostly, she felt the weight of reconfiguring her world into something that included them again, and it was both sacred and terrifying. A new chapter begins as the days passed. The disconnect gradually softened, not because it disappeared, but because it was met with honesty and care from both sides. They learned to live with each other's shadows and wounds, learning what it meant to return to a home that had evolved without them. No speeches marked this return. No declarations or declarations of love. Just small acts. A look, a quiet acknowledgement, a tentative hug at day's end. A family rebuilding not by force, but by fragments. Honest, imperfect, hopeful. Life after prison wasn't the fairy tale comeback she'd imagined. It was more nuanced and raw. It was healing. It was family reimagined. And Savannah, resilient, weary, yet determined, was creating a new path forward, one day at a time.